Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Polynesian Eyes podcast. This is Tua. We are very excited to have Tevita Fale join us again here on the program. Back by popular demand, by far the episodes that get the most amount of views, most amount of feedback, and requests for him to return are when Tevita Fale shows up and joins us for the program. So we're very excited for him to join us today. Dad, how you doing? And what have you been up to the last couple of days?
Such wasting time. That's all I'm good at.
We're glad that you're wasting time with us, and especially with the viewers. As I mentioned, by far by 3 or 4 times, thousands of views whenever your videos come on. We get a lot of comments, a lot of feedback. A lot of the viewers are really appreciative of what you bring to the table and the content and a lot of the work that you've done. So we're really excited today. There's 2 major topics that we want to run through. The first one is to walk through the Tonga settlements. And Tevita Fale is going to walk through those different settlements, how they relate to Langi, where Tangaloa lived on Tongatapu. Then on the second half of the program, and depending on the timing or the length, if it gets closer to like 3 hours, we might break it into 2 different parts. But the second part, we're going to spend time to walk through some of the maps that Tevita Fale has put together on the major constellations and how they relate to each other and how those important constellations were critical for navigating by our ancestors. So with that being said, Dad, anything you want to talk about before we jump into the settlements?
Yeah, I'm glad to have time to talk about our history, because all these years they put us on Lapita. There's no Lapita people, but we are the Lapita people. How can we get that Lapita?
Yeah,
to be our ancestor. That's why I'm glad we are doing some work, but I feel sorry about our people to get their degrees on Lapita for something is never been there, and no one can question it. How can we get degrees from the Lapita? There was no Lapita in our history. And the thing is, how these people write our history to be our origin start from Liha and Kutu. You understand Liha and Kutu?
yes.
And they said we come from Limu and Kere, and from Fonuta and Fontahi to become our history. How can I am a farmer all my life? I don't plant kape and talo come out of it. Or plant banana and ufi come out of it. That's why I don't understand. Our people are very high civilization, astronomy, navigation. How can we come out from Limu and Kere?
Yeah.
If something come out from Limu and Kere, that's only a Limu.
More Kere and more Limu.
Yeah. That's what I don't understand. the people, they write our history from the beginning. I know all this whananga when I grew up about the liha and kutu and kere and limu, but I don't want to touch it. If you tell that story to a 6-year-old kid, and the kid said, how can limu and kere produce a human? Or anything like that. When I was giving permission from His Majesty to Potafo to do the history, I'm embarrassed to hear this kind of story. Who write that?
Yeah.
This kind of thing in Kutu and Liha Mokutu, all this whananga when I grew up. And when you become a real person, a thought, if you write a paper about that to get a degree from it, if someone write a degree paper from that, I give them 0. How can you get a degree, doctor degree from a paper like that? To me, it's stupid.
Well, maybe we would give them a grade, like Masi was saying, for the Palangi world to get paid. Okay, we'll give you a degree to go to the Palangi world to get paid, but to get a grade to talk about Tongan and Polynesian history, yeah, you get a 0. But if you want to go and find a degree to make money in the Palangi world, okay.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. We are proud of our people. We were the best navigator in the world to settle in the Pacific. And all the time I see the Jews and the Palestine fight over there on their land, I was glad how smart our ancestors are to find some place no one in it. And no one have to fight us about our country.
Yeah. So in a way, that is a huge blessing that Hikureo gave our ancestors, right? To send them somewhere where peace and there's a culture that can develop and grow without the challenges and the problems that we see in other places of the world.
Yeah. All the time I see all these problems all over the world, I'm happy inside in my heart to see how lucky our people.
Yeah.
And most of our people don't realize how lucky we are.
No, I 100% agree with that, Fade, because it seems like the older I get and the more I see the world, the more I see the blessing that Tonga has that very few people have. Very few people. And when we say Tonga, and this is something that I want to kind of express, we say Tonga because that's the only civil part of the civilization that remained independent. But in many ways, when we're saying Tonga, we're talking about Polynesia in general, because that was all one country, one nation, one culture, one people. We all had the same experiences, and we're all connected to each other through blood, through relation, through culture, through language, because that's really important. So we really want to really emphasize that. Many times when you hear Tonga, you can replace that with many parts of Polynesia. The only unique thing that Tonga brings to the table is that was the capital, that was the initial settlement by which the founding fathers of the Polynesian Empire started from. Are you in agreement with that, Dad, or is there something that needs to be corrected there?
Yes, I'm proud of it. But that's something I am hoping our people are going to be proud of that. All Polynesia.
Yeah.
Because no other kind of people get what we have. And we are free in our country. Even lately, the foreigners come over and run our people in their land.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't get to the worst part the Indian people of America and other countries have.
Yep, that suffered a great deal and lost everything. Yep.
That's why I am glad the people wrote our history. They don't know the truth about our history to show. Because, like I mentioned many times, to become Lapita people, our people has to be happy to say we are not the Lapita people. We settle the whole Pacific. That's our country.
So a couple questions on that, Dad, real quick. So when we say there was never Lapita in our people, we're talking about not our origin, but we do recognize, hey, maybe our ancestors were trading. If we really believe that our ancestors were traveling thousands upon thousands of miles to different parts of the world, it would make sense that if we found something useful, right, or valuable, that we would bring some of that useful tools or equipment or knowledge or technology. So if our ancestors came across a group of people who were using pottery, of course we would bring some of that pottery and maybe even some of those people, right? I mean, I don't know, like is that something that you're kind of referring to? Is yes, we had Lapita on Tonga, but
No
and throughout
Lapita.
Polynesia.
We mix with other people.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't buy Lapita at all. Like I said, I'm on my 70s to 80. That's the same time that theory started.
Yes. So I guess the question is, we do recognize that they found Lapita pottery, right, on Tonga Tapu like in Nukureka, but the theory that that's where we come from or originate from, that's what we reject.
Yeah, like I said, there were no Lapita at all. I don't want that thing to hang on our history because there were no Lapita. Only bad part of it, our people have education and get a degree from it.
I guess my question is more geared towards how do we explain how they found Lapita pottery in Nukureka? How did the Lapita pottery get there?
Our people make pottery.
Okay.
It's not Lapita. Like I said, there were no Lapita at all. Our people make it. They make clay
Okay.
pots.
Make clay pots. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm trying to think. I had another question that I was going to ask because that was the first one. Oh, yes. The second one is why is it that our brothers and sisters who are expressing some of these ideas of our origins, why are they turning to stories and to ideas that the Palangi has developed? Because like you're saying, when we use the Fananga, that's using what, in Tonga, we would never discuss that our ancestors come from Liha or Kutu, right? That's kind of that's a negative way. Nobody would say that's where I come from, because that's a negative thing. It makes you, it's like putting down your ancestors. But why would they still go ahead and embrace it? It's because they don't know what they're talking about, or I don't know. Like, why would they accept that as a origin story, a true origin story for our people?
Because if we accept that, it shows over there how dumb we are.
Mm.
How can Liha and Kutu produce human, or Lemu and Kere produce human, or Von Uta and Fontahi produce human? Like I said, I am a farmer. I don't plant talo and kape come out of it. Or plant ufi and tapioca come out of it. If I plant tapioca is going to, I'm going to harvest tapioca. If I plant ufi, I'm planning I harvest ufi.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way for our parents to say we come from Von Uta and Fontahe and Lemu and Kere and Kutu and Liha.
And then we find out we're fonu of something else. Albemehe fonu uta, fonu tahi to fonu something else.
How can I'm proud to get a doctorate degree from Lemu and Kere, or Kutu and Liha.
And really what it may come down to, Dad, is if you're not willing to sacrifice and put the true time and energy and commit your life to it, maybe that's the easy way. I don't know. That's some of the things that's coming to my mind, is maybe it was an easy way to move forward and satisfy the Palangi's requirements for a PhD.
Yeah, it was not easy to believe in Maui and Tangaloa. They were not God. You have to do a lot of work to produce, and you believe your work. They were not God. Because Maui's family in Tonga, they are part of the Wharewa for hundreds of years. And Tangaloa become of Tonga from 1000 BC all the way up for today. Our king come from Tangaloa family. And how can we say we come from Liha and Kutu, or how can we believe that? Like I said,
yeah.
I don't have education, but I am a farmer. I don't plant ufi and get tapioca.
Yeah. Well, I would rephrase that and say you don't have a Palangi education, but you have a traditional Polynesian education.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what kind of education, but I believe the truth out from lying.
Yeah.
Away from lying. Like I said, if I tell lies to be part of my life, it's okay to get a degree, to get paid to feed my family. But if you want to tell the truth, stop telling lies.
Yeah.
Whoever start all these lies, like I said, I know it when I grew up, but it was hard for me to believe we come from Limu and Kere or all this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Well,
there is something wrong with my brain, but I can tell the lies from the truth.
well, and that's something important. I know some people who don't necessarily understand and agree as to why it's important to identify our origins, but like we're saying, if we want to be unified as a Polynesian people, we cannot be unified and start with a lie or something that's not true. We If we want to bring people together and really let people understand that Polynesians are one people, we're one country, with one culture, then we have to start with the truth from the very beginning. If we start from a lie, we're never going to be united. And if we are united under a lie, no good thing can come from that.
Yeah, it was not easy for me to do all this work all these years to try to find out the truth about our people. Where can you find a gate over the sun in the Pacific? There's nothing. They keep saying we come from Taiwan. Taiwan don't have a gate of the sun or a lot
Yeah.
of Mount Builder over there. And there's no Maui or Tangaloa over there. That's what I'm trying. I'm proud of our people, and I'm proud of how smart they were.
It's actually quite amazing. And I think the more we learn, the more we understand and discover, the more we realize how blessed and how advanced, and like you're saying, sophisticated in every way that you can think of. Government system, social, familial structure, scientific and astronomical knowledge, you know, every religious knowledge. You think across the board, our ancestors were extremely sophisticated, and to oversimplify and say, oh, all that great and sophistication comes from Limu and Kere and Liha and Kutu, that's kind of a in many ways, I guess we could just say it's disrespectful. Not only is it not true, but in some ways it's disrespectful and not giving and recognizing our ancestors for what they actually did, especially when we look at the things that you're talking about. Talangi, the Ha'amonga Maui, the Kalia, the obvious other ruins throughout Polynesia. So, no, I think that's an important thing to kind of recognize and establish. You want me to pull up that map of Tongatapo with the settlements?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll pull that up here in a moment. So here we have Tongatapo, and then we have A, B, and C, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anything in specific there that you want to start? Start at looking at, Dad, or talk about
the first settlement. It was only 2 kings over there. Our Eitu, and see our people say that's a whananga to climb on a toa tree to Langi.
Yeah.
You have to do a lot of work to find out toa is a whanga, a space where Langi had. And it's take a lot of work to do that.
So Toa is a specific location. Next A is where Langi is, or Tapuhia,
Yeah.
and Toa is a specific location, kind of like a little harbor area or
Yes.
docking area, that when you come in, you would come in through that area. And why was it called Toa or Fere Toa?
That's the name of the place.
Mm-hmm.
Is Toa. And
Okay.
people think about the tree.
The
Connect.
Toa tree.
You climb over there to Langi, and Tangaloa come down on the Toa tree and meet our Atu's mother. That's how they tell their stories. But our work, our job is to find it. It's not a tree. Now the Samoans said the same story will start from Tonga. They said the Toa tree climbed to Langi. They said ni Langi in Samoa.
No.
And in Tonga, they name a lot of places in Tonga. In number one, Tulangi, to A.
Yeah.
And we name a place from the first settlement, from the second settlement to number one settlement. That's the same thing. They have 14 or 15 names, they rename it from where the new settlement to the last settlement.
Okay. So
All
basically, if I understand correctly, what you're describing there is, so obviously number one is the first settlement where the first two Itongas lived. A is where Tangaloa lived, and there were specific names for different parts of where Tangaloa lived, like Feretoa, right? And that's the harbor area. When the Tuitonga went to his settlements, the first and the second, he took some of the same names from Langi and named certain parts of his settlement to match that.
That's
Okay.
about 14 names from the first settlement named Tulangi. And the same thing in second settlement, they name to first settlement. And third settlement, when they get to Toloa, they get the same amount of name from the second settlement, all the way up to Moa, to number 6 settlement. They rename places when they move and move.
And so that was in part just to kind of remember and maintain the relationship to Langi and Tangaloa.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. From first settlement, there's only two Tonga over there. In second settlement, that's a 14.
So real quick, just so the viewers can look, the first two Tuitongas, and I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit because I think the viewers would appreciate it. We put together here Tevita Fale's lists that are tied to all these locations. The first two were Ahoitu and Lolo Fakangalo.
Yeah.
Okay.
The name.
So those were the first two. Okay.
Yeah.
Then Fangaone was the one who moved it to the second settlement.
Yes. And 14 settlement in this 14 Tuitonga. And they also name, well known at Likutapu.
Okay.
And It's about many names, and second settlement name it to Toloa, that settlement. That's in Toloa. They have, like I said, second is a 14 Tuitonga. In
Okay.
Toloa, they have 6 Tuitonga living in Toloa.
And this is the area that they did those radar scanning, that the
Yes.
Australian National University, this is where they did those radar scannings and basically found urbanization, right?
Yeah.
Urbanization in these areas, which is amazing, right? So that is basically, and this comes back to what you described earlier, Fada, is look at how advanced our ancestors were. We're talking about urban society, so we're talking about multiple structures, multiple mounds that serve different purposes, and a thriving society where population is growing. And so this is not a little thing to be like, oh, some cavemen or something. These are very advanced civilizations that our ancestors had developed.
Yeah, and when they move to number 4, they have only 2 Tuitonga over there. Talafata and Tuitatui.
Mm-hmm.
And they named from there, Tuitatui's son move it to number 5. They have only 2 Tuitonga over there. Talatama and Hispiro, because he doesn't have a son. That's why they create Hispiro to be his son. And
Is that the new Tamato?
Yes. They set up a wedding, get a wife, and create Talaiha Pepe. That's his son.
Their son.
And he moved it to number 6 in 1180. And they have 28 Tuitonga in Moa. That's the thing we have to look at it. It's our people. You think they didn't know anything? They have the parliament, like the parliament of governments today.
Mm-hmm.
They have the 4 houses. That's the parliament. Start from Tangaloa, from Aueitu. See, they have a parliament. They have 4 houses. They have a parliament. Tuihatakalaua have 4 houses, to serve the Tuihatakalaua. Tuitonga have 4 houses to serve the Tuitonga. And you see, there was nothing new the Palangi came with. We already run a country with a parliament.
Yeah. And that's probably a key reason, or at least played a key role in Tonga's ability to maintain independence, was an understanding of government, not only politics, but also understanding administrative, that you need to have a structure to manage a government, and then recognizing how do we adapt to the reality of the Westerners having better technology, larger population, and we had to figure out how to survive as a people and as a civilization.
That's another thing. A lot of people proud to set Samoa get out from Tonga, under Tonga, in 1250 AD. And when they have Marietoa, where was Marietoa? They used the name, but Marietoa almost eat all the Samoan.
What do you mean by that specifically? What happened?
He killed people and eat it.
Really?
Yes.
So basically, he became a tyrant.
Yes. It was Marietoa to another Marietoa. That's why a lot of people said Samoa out from Tonga under Tongan control. No. Samoa hanging on Tonga because Marietoa was a human eater.
Mm.
And you see, all the Samoan, there was no government in Samoa.
Yeah.
From Marietoa. See, they in the 1500, you know, the Telea and our ancestor, his older brother, Lomueki or Whangaoneone, their mothers from Samoa. There's a lot of Samoans still under Tonga. But that's the thing, a lot of people keep hanging on to Marietoa. The name was okay, but the way he did, no Samoan want to be under him. Marietoa. But like I said, he was a human eater. And Samoa always under Tonga. Because all the women, all the Tonga have wives, some of their wives from Samoa.
Mm.
And like I said, after what they did to the Tuitonga in 1250 AD, that's it. And Marietoa gone. He didn't do anything for Samoa.
Yeah. And didn't establish, like you said, a government system that allowed them to basically have unified government and an organization throughout Samoa. Hmm.
But it's some people always bring it up, Samoa out from Tonga. And what they do, they never get out from Tonga, Samoa, because Marietoa don't know how to run the government. And you know that me, you have in your blood DNA, Fiji, Samoa, and Tonga.
Yes.
I have it the same thing.
Yeah. I did my DNA and it was, let me pull it up here to see. It does have Melanesian. It doesn't say the specific areas in Fiji, but it does say the specific areas on Tongatapu and Samoa for me. So let me just see if I can find it here. So in Taumasanga area on Tonga, on Samoa, which is kind of where Apia is, that middle section, and then also from Vava'u and Tongatapu. And then it's Melanesian blood as well. So
And
Fiji, the Fijian.
I have it all. And like I mentioned before, no family have a langi in Tonga except our family. All the langis belong to Kalanival today, and Alangi belong to the Tuilakepa family and our family. From 1500, the Langi of the King Tonga in 1500, all the way up. When I die, I'll be buried there. My father, my grandfather, from
They're all there.
1500 all the way up for today. And I know that's why I'm working. I'm stupid enough to keep taking our history because of that.
Yes. So, just so I understand correctly, and I think just for a visual reference for the viewers here. So, we said first two Tuitongas in the first settlement, right here. Then Fangaoneone moves it to the second settlement. And how many Tuitongas were there? 14. So, Ha'avaka Fuhu the second, I'm assuming then, is right about there. Let me see. Okay, right here. So 14 would have been the 17th Tuitonga. So Pui Pui Kifatu.
Yeah.
So this group right there. So from Fangaoneone to Pui Pui Kifatu the first, then Pui Pui, then to the third settlement in Toloa. How many were there?
It was 6.
6.
And Kaulfonua, Pui Pui, San, Kaulfonua. That's when the Empire of Tonga carried to 20 countries.
That's where the name Kaulfonua comes from. The first Kaulfonua.
Yes. And his son Taposi. They said,
yeah, Taposi. Yeah.
Because the country was did hardly have any food to eat. That's why he named his son Taposi. Make the people work and planning food and everything.
Okay. So he exerted a lot of power to force the people into labor?
Yeah.
Okay. During a famine, a time of famine.
Yeah.
So very interesting. So Kaulfonua, right after Kaulfonua, we the empires expanded to 20 island groups.
Yeah.
Then the son is named Tapuosi because there's a type of famine that hits and forced labor is used. And then was it to force to work, to do all the planting and the agriculture? And then was it Talakai Faiki who moves to Ha'amonga?
It was Momo.
Momo. Okay. I see. So Momo and Tu'itatui were the only two at the Ha'amonga area?
Yeah, that's a two Tonga over there. And
okay.
See something new to Mato.
This is when they were in Nukureka, right?
Talatama. Move it from Ha'amonga to Nukureka.
And just for the viewers understand, your position is that when Momo moved the settlement to Ha'amonga, Maui had already built the Ha'amonga that we see many, many years before that. It was not, a lot of people believe that it was the Tu'itonga that built that, but your position is that Ha'amonga was built hundreds, possibly 1,000 years before that.
That's only Tu'itonga live over there for a short time.
Yeah. But your position is the Tu'itongas did not build it. That was built by Maui long before the Tuitonga settled there.
Because like I told you, the knowledge come from Waihi. It was not start in Tonga about
Yes.
astronomy and the gate of
Yeah.
the sun.
Understood. Then we have the new Tamato, as you mentioned, a very unique story. This is basically a headrest, and it was because Talatama did not have an heir. And when the Farefa went to Talaiha Apepe said, no, I'm not going to become the Tuitonga because our culture says father to son, and Talatama is not my father, so I'm not going to be the next Tuitonga. So they created, quote unquote, a Tuitonga that established Talaiha Apepe as that Tuitonga son, and then that Tuitonga died. The headrest, the pillow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Talaiha Apepe, he moves it to Mua.
Yeah,
right? Whangalongonoa in Mua, and they are there obviously for the remainder from him. And so there's a lot of history in Mua. This is why Mua is such a historical area with all the langis and so forth, with not only all the Tuitonga but also the Tuiha Takalaua, all the way through the Tuikan Kupolu, and then all the way to Laufiri Tonga, the last.
Yes, 28 Tuitonga in Mua.
28 Tuitongas in Mua.
Yeah. And Tuiha Takalaua and Tuikan Kupolu start from Mua too.
Okay. And in that, we're referencing this document that shows when the Tuitongas created the different lines.
Yes.
Is this this is the first Kaulfonua? No, this is Kaulfonua Fekai.
Yeah.
Right? He organized the Tuiha Takalaua. So we're coming back here to Kaulfonua Fekai because he installs
his brother
Tuiha Takalaua to his brother after his father was assassinated.
Yeah.
Correct? So we're looking at,
That's another thing. I was surprised. I grew up in Mua and I never had the story until I read about a few years ago. The first Tuiha Takalaua kicked out his older brother from Tonga to Samoa. I don't know where they get that information. The Palangi and some of the Tongan educators come up with that idea.
So what you're saying is they said when Kaulfonua Fekai installed his brother, Mo'unga Motua, that Mo'unga Motua kicked out Kaulfonua.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I grew up in my entire life in Mua. I just found out, I read about this information a few years ago. And I don't know where this information come from. Some Palangis plus some Tongan academic guys support that. And
I guess the only thing I can think of as to why they would make up such a story is they don't understand how the Tu'iha Takalaua came to place. And I guess when they hear the word Tu'i and it means king, they don't understand how you can have two kings. And so they had to make a story up to make sense. If you don't understand, if you have only a Western mind, then this is what you would come up with. Maybe, I don't know.
Like I said, I was surprised when I read that information. I grew up all my life in Moa, and they were talking about my family. I never heard about that story. Kaufunua's younger brother kicked him out from Tonga. And I don't know who started. That's the same thing with whoever write our history start from Kutu and Liha and Kutu. And
that's so the story, the same story or the idea of the Kutu and the Liha is the same idea and story as the Tu'iha Takalawa kicking out the Tu'itonga, his brother.
That's I don't know. I hated to hear that thing in my family. We don't know about it.
Well, I'm just sorry to tell you that, but your family was just a bunch of savages who ran around with sticks. So the Palangi has to tell you.
Yeah.
The PhD has to tell you.
Yeah, that's why my family have a record in the whole world. The longest kingdom in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were stupid.
Yes.
Have an empire in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah, last over thousands of years. That's how stupid they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and that's the thing. I think it's just number one, it could, not having access to the information. Number two, not being willing to dedicate your life and make the sacrifices necessary to do so. Number three, temptation maybe just to come up with something new. And when you come up with something that is not related to history, then you can write an interesting paper and get a PhD maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why it's good to write a paper about Limu and Kere and Fonuuta and Fontahi and Kutu and Liha and Kutu.
You can make up your own stuff.
Yeah. But
and like we were joking with Masi, I wouldn't be surprised if how many PhDs the fun kava stories have created. So if the Limu and the Kere can make a PhD, then kaya to hatalano me fai kava fakakata ulava be PhD ya kautamani.
Yeah, it's social over there when you have no brain. That's the easy way to get the degree.
Yeah. And yeah, this is something that, granted, like we mentioned earlier, we're referencing Tonga and we're referencing this, but it's really important for all Polynesians to understand Tongan heritage in many ways is Polynesian heritage. These are not just Tongan ancestors, these are Polynesian ancestors. And I remember you telling the story, Fare, about the missionaries who came with Hape and Tevita.
Yeah.
Right? And when the Christians came traveling from Tahiti on their way to Fiji, I think. Yes. But kind of tell the significance of that name, and just to make the point, this heritage, this history, yes, it's a lot closer to Tonga, but it is tied to all of Polynesia. And that story of Tevita and Hape demonstrates that heritage that all Polynesians share. If you wanted to kind of share what your thoughts were when you read that story, Fare.
And another part of the story, The Tuikanokupolu told the missionary, you don't go and start from the tail. You guys spend a little time in Tonga, that's the head, not Fiji. They wrote it down. It's not Fiji is the head. Start in Tonga, that's the head.
Mm.
Don't go to the tail to Fiji.
But what about our brothers and sisters from? I think I'm gonna stop saying Samoa because they've taken Samoa and come up with these new definitions that I don't know if it's helping with that story. I'm just gonna call them Ha'amoa because that explains their origin better than this new definition they're coming up with, which they call Samoa. But with you saying that Tu'ikanukupolu told the missionaries to start with the head, and the head is Tonga,
Yeah.
but the Ha'amoa say that the head is in Ha'amoa, in Manuka.
That's what happened from the stupid Tongan to know the history. They make someone happy to be the head.
Who doesn't want to be the head, right? So when you
Yeah.
tell Ha'amoa that's the head, oh yeah, who wouldn't want to take that?
Yeah, they are happy and proud of the new chief. Eh?
Mm-hmm. The Tui
Who-
Manua.
No.
Who's the new chief you're referring to?
The one he bake them and eat them.
Oh, Marietoa.
Yes. That's why
They said they
after what he did, they are proud of it. They don't want to tell the part of the story. He was eating Samoan.
So basically what I'm hearing is they were upset with the Tu'itonga, but because the Tu'itonga wanted the pigs and all the other stuff, and then they rebel against the Tu'itonga who want to eat pig, but then they realize, oh Yahweh, at least the Tu'itonga only wanna eat pig and not wanna eat the people.
That's another thing about Tonga. When some problem they have to do something, change. Like when someone hide provide their weapons under the pigs, when the Tongan to Tonga go to Tonga and change the tradition, make the pig
Face up.
face up. Plus, they have to count every umu first to count it and lift it up to second. Yeah?
Oh, is that where that history comes from? All of that. So flipping of the pigs, and then you count it and lift it.
Yeah. Hua in our way.
Make sure there's nothing else in there.
Yes.
So at least we will thank the Samoans for making the security. It's like the security when you go to the airport, right? When they find out a way that people were sneaking in, like that one guy who made the explosive in his shoes. Next minute we show up to the airport, everybody have to take the shoes off.
Yes. It shows over there that's part of developing. Of development. But that's why they start to count all the umus and have to hua lift it up. See.
Very interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Man, it's amazing how smart Talimu and Dakere is, eh? That Talimu and Dakere can figure out the security. Now we need to change the culture.
But that's the thing. When I look at it, who write these stories? But at least, like I said, that's the Fananga, Kutu Moriha, and they make a boat and go fishing and then when get have babies, they're human. That's the
Sound to
story.
me like if you wanted to start a rumor for another family that you don't like, you would make a story like that. I don't know about you guys. I came from humans, but your family, I think you guys came from the Liha and the Kutu.
And
Yeah,
Fonuta and
well,
Fontahi.
yes. Like I
Maybe
from Fonu Uta, Fonu Tahi to Fonu something else.
that's maybe that's what I'm supposed to do when my grandfather to put the fourth tell me to do the history for Tonga. To work on that things easier, make it easier.
Yes. That was your mistake, Fare. You would have had a PhD. You wouldn't have lost time and money. You would have gotten all the good stuff. You made the mistake and go and try and find the truth. That was the mistake you made.
Maybe your mom don't hate our history if I did that.
Yeah, that is hilarious. So, hey, we love all of our brothers and sisters. We're just having a good conversation. You know, we invited some of our PhD buddies to join us. We're always open. I know Tevita Kairi has commented on some of our videos. He said he's open to join us for episode. So you know, same thing goes with Augustino Mahina and Opeti Tariai. We're open. We want to have conversations and we want people to hear, and then let everyone make up their own mind. If you say you want to come from Limu and Kere, that's you. That's up to you to choose. If you say that's where you come from, I will choose to come from people.
But that's only
How about any? Yeah,
something good
go ahead,
about
Dad.
these things. You plant tapioca and utu ufi. See, let's make it easier.
Well, Dad, I think what I see from this is they were just ahead of their time. He ko ngahi aho nia gu te whiri be gita ia. Te lava gita ia to e si aine ma we hopa. You know, now we have people who say, oh, I don't want to be a banana anymore. I want to be a ufi. And then you're a ufi now. Maybe they were ahead of their time.
Maybe if I go to school further, I might know that.
Might believe it.
But I didn't go to school. That's why I don't believe these things.
And really, I think you mentioned this on our other show here, but I think it's really good to really emphasize this. First thing, Tevita Fale's list right here, as he shares, this is the most extensive list he could come up with. He is not saying that this is 100% counted for everyone, but this is what he has done from Aho Eitu down to Laupiri Tonga 54 Tui Tongas, and this is how he came up with that list. Tying the names, major events at each civilizations to physical structures, oral history, and major events that happened at all of these. So this is one of the reasons why I tend to believe Tevita Fale's list over when I hear things from our brothers and sisters who say, oh, the Fijian Tuipulotu Empire and the Ha'amoa Tuimanua Empire. And they always ask the same question. Where's your evidence? And I say, well, here's the evidence, some of it. This is not just some names that people heard about, because when I ask what's the Tu'imanua evidence, what's the Tu'ipulotu evidence. At best, I get some names. Oh, okay, that's better than nothing. But you know what's even better than just names? It's names, it's settlements, it's physical structures, it's tied to events that are not just recognized in Tonga, like events such as Talakai Faiki, recognized in Samoa when he was ruling, Ka'ulfonua Fekai when he chased the assassins of his father. These are stories that are not only just recognized in Tonga, some of these stories are also recognized throughout Polynesia as events that occurred. So I think that's an important part to what Tevita Fale has done. And then the third part is, imagine the time, energy, and money that this takes, because this is a life's work. This is not, I need to put together a thesis for my PhD paper over 8 months, and I'm going to come up with my theory on what Limu and Kere is over 8 months and submit it and defend my thesis and get my doctorate. This is hundreds of thousands of hours, assuming we only start from 1986. But as Tevita Fale mentioned, he's been prepared and working on this since he was a toddler, or basically his whole life. So I just wanted to throw that in there, Fade, just so people get that context. You and I are not just talking about fun stories. These stories and these settlements, you've verified, gone out, looked at these places, and put together the history, together with the ruins, together with other events that are recognized, to build that list. Anything I missed, Dad, that you want to add to just kind of letting people understand there's a big difference when you listen to the PhD and when you're listening to Tevita Fale speaking about the history that he shares, or really anyone else in Polynesia, let alone Tonga?
I'm talking about my family.
Yeah.
And sometimes these questions pop up. Where did you get your information? I didn't say anything then, but I make me really mad. Where are you coming from? What is your history? I'm working on my ancestors' history.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my roots. And if anybody know more than that, come up with it than what I have.
And I agree with that 100%, right? If you have something, bring it. Let's look at it. Let's talk about it. But that's why we have the invitation out to anyone. And I think that's something that's really important, because where you come from, what you've been called to do, is a very important part of the work that you do. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. These are your ancestors, and in many ways, one could make the argument that they prepared you and called you to do this work. Not only your ancestors that are in the past, but like you said, even Tupou the Fourth, you met with him, you talked with him, you showed with him some of the things that you were working on, and he asked you to do the work for your families, right? His family and your family, which is the same family, and for the extended family of all of Polynesia. And I forgot to come back to that story, Fade, but that story about Tafeta and Hape, and what the significance of the name Tafeta from Tahiti. Did you want to touch on that at all? Or was there something else you wanted to go to now?
for hundreds of years between Tevita from Tahiti and Tevita in Tonga, Tuitatui.
Mm-hmm.
That's something our people supposed to be happy to listen to our history. Some Palangi they look down on our history because we didn't write it down. But we have it for 1,000 years. And they kind of put the clay pots to be our origin. We know our origin. And we have a longer kingdom than any Palangi's kingdom.
Yeah. And like you were mentioning, you know, that Tevita from history, from Tahiti, sorry, hundreds of years after, could have been a descendant of Tevita from the Tuitonga because they had children and were marrying with women from across the nation or the empire. And so we are all one big group of people. We're all one family. We're all one people. And we all should be proud of what our ancestors did. Anything else you wanted to walk through on the settlements, Fare? Or did you want to go into maybe the discussion on the constellations?
Maybe we go to the astronomy.
Okay. So as I pull up the first one here, Fale, do you want to kind of give an explanation? This is when we're talking about people coming to ask you of what's your source, what book did you read to get your information. I think this is a good example of how Tevita Fale got the information. Just like we talked about the Tuitonga list, one could easily come to Fale and say, what book did you read to get you your Tuitonga list? Well, Tevita Fale went to the settlements, he went to the ruins, and relied on his ancestors and his history to bring those pieces of information together. This is another example of how Tevita Fale is able to develop his information. Kind of give a description on these. These are 12 pictures here, images here that we are going to walk through. But kind of give the history and the background on this, Fale, on how you built this.
That's the map of the skies from 10 years ago. From looking to the south from Hawaii.
Okay.
And I put together all these things from 2009 December 2009 to 2011.
2009 to 2010?
Yes, from December 2009 to 2011 and 2010.
Okay. So basically, you didn't go and copy from Google or some textbook. What did you do? You just went out every night, looked at the stars, and tracked it for a whole year? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So once again, when you asked Tevita Fale what's his source, he did not go and look up someone else's work. He did not go and borrow. I have to emphasize this, and I know it may sound repetitive, but we cannot overstate this. How many PhDs do you know out there for just 1 year who would sit, and we're only talking about 1 year out of all the work that he's done, went out every night, visually confirmed where the constellations were in the sky, and tracked them and mapped them. So this is the kind of detail, this is the type of dedication, this is the type of sacrifice that we're talking about, that a Western PhD does not get to this level of time and energy. So I can't help but emphasize that, because this is how important that story be told, and that the viewers and the listeners understand. So one thing before we get into some of the constellations here that you want to talk about, Fale, one thing that I wanted to focus on is, why do you have south at the top and north at the bottom? Because every map that I typically see from the Palangi, the north is at the top and south at the bottom. But a lot of your maps, including your drawings, you have it flipped. Why is that?
Because our people's direction, south is up and north is down. And because they come from Waihi to Polynesia, your left hand to the south and the right hand to the north. But the map here, I'm going to talk only for the main thing our people use. Road of Maui, that's the Milky Way.
Okay, yes. So this, the Milky Way is shown by this line, this curved line. That's the Milky Way in the sky.
And road of Tangaloa from the east to the west.
Yes.
The equator.
And that's the equator. Okay.
And in the map here, we just make it easier. The Ha'amonga Maui. Yeah. From the east, travel to the west. And travel together with the fish, humu. And behind the tail of the fish, that's the piece of yam. The top part of the yam. And that's from December of 2009.
So just so you to reference what you're saying, is we are primarily interested at looking at the Ha'amonga, this constellation. That's what the Ha'amonga represents on the ground in Tonga. Also the fish that's called humu, and the
part of the yam to the
top part of the yam.
Yes.
Okay. And so, and then how it moves from east to west. So I just want to show it by just kind of clicking through the picture, and you can see how this is December of 2009, January 2010, right?
Yeah.
February, March, and you can see the fish and the yam and the ha'amonga moving directly over the equator and moving from west to east. Yeah. And then they hit all the way across. So that's 6 months worth of movement, correct?
Yeah, that's
so
how
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
And that's the ha'amonga move together with the part of the yam. Huh?
Yes.
For 6 months.
Yeah, for 6 months. And then on the 7th month, it flips. It looks like it flips here. Let me zoom in just a little bit. On the 6th month, the Milky Way flips, and now we have the 2 crosses and Maui's hook that's showing up. Is that correct?
Yes. Maui's hook. So up and the lower part of the Ufi.
The lower, is this the lower part of the Ufi right here?
Yes, on the
Okay.
equator. Remember, the Hamonga was on equator. And part of the head of the yam.
Yeah, is with the fish.
Yeah. But see over here, when they set to the west, the hook of Maui, the Matawa Maui, show up. And the lower part of the Ufi. They travel together.
Okay. So just so I understand correctly, the top part of the Ufi always goes with the fish and the Ha'amonga. The bottom part of the Ufi always goes with the hook of Maui.
Yes. The hook of Maui on Maui's Road at the Milky Way, and part of the Upi on the equator.
So what we're going to see then is that Ufi is going to move along the equator. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So yes. So just so for reference, we're going to start from the beginning of the journey. We start with the Ha'amonga and the fish and the top of the yam to the east. It's going to move all the way to the west, right along the equator. And then once it flips, now it's Maui's hook and the bottom part of the yam. And the bottom part of the yam will continue to move from east to west for the remainder 6 months, as well with the hook.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we just showed that right there. So that's very interesting. So really doesn't matter which part of the year, as long as you understand which constellations are paired with each other and how they relate to the Milky Way and moving across the equator. It doesn't matter which part of the world you're in, doesn't matter which time of the year, you can find direction and navigate around the globe. Is that a fair description, what I'm trying to say?
Yes. But like I said, the key for the navigation is the Maui's Road, the Milky Way,
Yes.
and the Tangaloa's Road, the equator.
Yep. So once again, Milky Way is this band. That is Maui's Road. And then the equator, Tangaloa's Road from east to west.
Yes.
You had also mentioned something about the Magellanic Clouds at the top here and how they are related to Aotearoa.
Yes. Out there, the big cloud, and Aotearoa. Aotearoa is the small cloud. They are above.
So Aotearoa is this one.
Yes. They are face each other opposite side with the Southern Cross.
Okay. So they're kind of paired opposite to each other to the Southern Cross and the clouds.
Yes.
And what significance does that have to do with New Zealand?
There are stars above New Zealand.
New Zealand. Okay.
That's the key navigation for New Zealand. The Southern Cross and out there and Aotearoa. That's the name, out there and Aotearoa.
But I thought that Palangi and some people said that it's the clouds, the big clouds they see in the sky during the day, the raining clouds. So if I understand correctly, then really Aotearoa is tied to astronomical knowledge and was a important part of helping our ancestors navigate to New Zealand. We're using the Magellanic Clouds and the Southern Cross.
Yes, out there and Aotearoa.
Mm.
And it takes a lot of work to explain, but I just want to talk about the key point, the road of Maui and the road of Tangaloa.
Mm-hmm.
When you understand how they then around in the seasons, and easy to know the others. But
Yeah.
when you know the key, and I don't know, see how they put in the part of the ufi to be part
Yes.
of the.
Well, and this is. Oh, I forgot to change our ticker here. And really, what you're explaining here, Fade, is when everybody says, "Oh yeah, we know the Polynesians are the greatest navigator." This these little time that we're spending here, and we're obviously not covering all the information, but these are the key pieces of information that really made our ancestors the greatest navigators ever known to man. Were these key pieces and these major patterns, excuse me, that you're discussing, of how these constellations move along Maui and Tangaloa's road in the sky throughout the year in relation to major constellation.
And that map here, we went and photocopy.
Mm-hmm.
It was done 10 years ago, looking south from Hawaii.
So, as if I understand correctly, I'm going to describe something you can confirm, since you mentioned that your university was the Kava. That's one of the reasons why we enjoy having Lolo Tuyaki, because his nickname online is Kava University. So, what I'm understanding then, Fare, is as you went to class, in between the different classes, you would come outside and look up to the sky and confirm the things that you're thinking about and talking about during the class, during the Kava session.
Yeah, that's part. People went to the Kava, needed to Kava. I went over there for many reasons.
Mm.
In night, like I said, now I think about how stupid I was. I went over there for many different things, not only one reason. But that's the best place I'm free all these years when I'm in a Faikava. I am free inside me
Mm.
because social with people and I'm relaxed. Even I go outside and look at the stars, come inside, but I was free inside the kava. No other place like the kava. And kava is my, like I always said, kariloa to the tanoa. The tanoa represent the whole sky, the round.
Mm.
And east and west, the equator, and north and south, that's the other part of the cover.
And this is why kava is so important, is it really is a representation of all this knowledge that we're discussing. Like we were talking about the Furitaunga and the Taumafa kava, all the different parts of the knowledge and the civilization is brought together and packaged in the kava ceremony. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yes, that's like I said, that's our university,
Mm-hmm.
the Kava Circle. And,
Go ahead.
and people, they just go over there to drink kava to get drunk. I go over there, like I said, I can drink kava the whole night. And I don't know, some people said, you are not drunk, but I can drink kava the whole night, but I'm not. Because I come home, I don't sleep the whole day. Next day, I still get up early in the morning and go do something.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said sometimes people think I'm crazy.
And it's partially true. You have to be a little crazy to do certain things.
That's what Blake, I don't like it when he brag about my dad can't drink coffee the whole night, every night. I'm not that stupid because I believe that the kava people, they can help anything, donations,
Yeah.
when something going on over there, and help the family. You don't claim you are a kava person and you don't help take care of your family. That's why some people think I'm crazy, because when the time is to get up, I get up. I don't sleep in the middle of the day like some other people.
Mm.
But I believe the real cover people, they take care their duties in their family.
No, you have to. I have a quick question, because this is something that we've discussed many times. And the more we understand how significant the kava ceremony and how it represents the astronomical knowledge in the heavens, it also represents different parts of farming, of navigation. Is that one of the reasons why Laufiri Tonga felt like he needed to provide Tupo the first with a Taumafa kava? Because really that is what would it really connects the next line of leadership to the past and helps maintain all of that knowledge and that cultural and spiritual connection. And I wonder if you have any thoughts, as that's why Laufiri Tonga said, you know what? Because Laufiri Tonga, if he really didn't want Tupo the first to be successful, he wouldn't have done those things to really help Tupo the first, like give him the Taumafa kava and so forth. Do you think that had any role, that was what he was thinking?
Like I always talk about, our two historical schools. First, Kariloa. Second,
Mm-hmm.
Tanoa. That's our universities. And I always talk about it. If you know everything from Kariloa, that's the family, and Tanoa, you can
Mm-hmm.
be anything in this life. Because if you think you are Kavatonga guys and you don't get up and go work,
Take care of the family.
yes. But when you can handle it, you can be anything in this life.
And I think what you're saying is that sequence is also important, right?
Yes.
You can't put the Tanoa before the Kariloa. You have to take care of the Kariloa, and then you can handle and then take care of the tanoa after.
Yeah. You have to pass from the first school to the second school,
Mm.
our university.
And when you try to bypass the first one to go to the second one, it's not only incorrect, but it causes problems. And maybe that's one of the lessons that our culture and our people can share or help with the world overall. That seems to be the biggest challenge that society is facing, is the family, or the kariloa, is being destroyed. And that's why we see the chaos that we see today.
Yeah. Because like I said, Kariloa represent the whole family.
Mm.
And when you pass that and go to the Tanoa, that's our university. But if you think you are Kavatonga guys and you can't take care of your family, you are full of shit.
Yeah. And I think, you know what, as we're having this conversation, I think this is an important topic, that especially because right now kava is like having a huge resurgence, or it's growing. It's crazy growing with the youth, right? In the Polynesian youth. And I think that is an important message for the youth to understand. Don't forget that the ta'anoa, yes, it is a good thing, but don't forget that there's order. Order does matter, and you have to take care of the kariloa, take care of everything at home, and you take care of that. Then you can correctly and properly not only benefit from the ta'anoa, but also enjoy it, if you do it in the right sequence. And don't just jump straight to the ta'anoa and forget about the kariloa person, because that will only lead to problems.
Yeah, you learn from, I talk about it, about fishing. When you're a good fisherman, you know different bait for different fish. And if you're a good fisherman, it shows you get the best and good woman in this life.
Mm.
And I think I am a very good fisherman. I got your mom.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue. You did a pretty good job there.
And that's one thing I know. The Palangi run the whole world, but never run Tonga. Tonga still on the top.
Yeah.
It shows what you do and be a good leader. And I know every parents have their own problem, but I'm proud of you guys. I think I did a good thing.
Yeah.
Because all of you guys take care of your family, and I'm proud of you guys. Even I didn't finish high school in Tonga. And I come over here, like I told you before, and go to Utah Tech and have a class, English class, together with people already have degree from China,
PhD.
China and Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It shows I come from Tonga. I already, what can I learn from Utah Tech? Because I already pay people to work for me in Tonga. I come over here, I do the same thing in America. And I think it's not bad for an old man,
Mm-hmm.
Tongan, to do what I did.
Yeah, especially when you take into account that it's not bad for coming from Limu and Kere. So that's pretty good.
At least I may be stupid, but not that dumb.
I may be dumb, but not that dumb. I may be dumb, not, I may be uh, PhD Western education dumb, but I'm not Limu and Kere dumb.
At least I don't
And
believe that.
and I do want to come back to your comment, like you're saying that, with Tonga, and when we say Tonga as a nation that has survived and has maintained independence, that is the blessing. And as we know, with every blessing comes a responsibility. And I really believe that that is an important part of continuing your work is this. Yes, we recognize the blessing that resulted. It is this political um, knowledge, sophistication, scientific, agricultural, religious that allowed Tonga to navigate the Western world that now dominates the entire globe. And because of that blessing, that is basically the accumulation of all the blessings for the entire Polynesian Empire. That since Tonga has been given that blessing, we also now have the obligation to tell the history to all of our brothers and sisters in Samoa, right? In Tahiti, in Hawaii. That is the responsibility that I think Tonga has to our brothers and sisters throughout Polynesia. Yes, we benefited from that blessing, but like we talk about, like you going to Utah Tech, getting to America, yes, that was a blessing and an opportunity, but it looks like that blessing and opportunity was given to you, but also came with a responsibility to go back, get the knowledge, discover the truth. And that's what you did for your whole life. And now at this stage, we're trying to fulfill the responsibility part to our brothers and sisters throughout Polynesia. Now it's time to share the history with them and say, hey, look, our blessing is not just our blessing in Tonga, it's everyone's blessing. And that's what we're trying to do now. We're trying to bring everyone in to speak because, Tangaloa, Tuitonga, the head of the empire, yes, in Tonga Tapu, but they had children and great great grandchildren throughout Polynesia. And that's why we're here telling this story. This is why it's important to start from the truth, not from a lie. We want to start from our ancestors, not from seaweed and not from silt from the lagoon. We want to start from our ancestors, establish the truth, and we're here to express that to everyone else. That was some of my thoughts. Any thoughts on that, Fale, or any final comments? Because I think we're kind of coming towards the end here. I'll give you the last word, but any last comments or any thoughts to close out the show today?
I remember our sister from Samoa get on my case when I say hikureo. It's the same thing with Jehovah.
Yes.
They both the same, the voice. And I know Tonga get the blessing because of hikureo brought us to the Pacific. And we have to be proud of it. But you remember when our sisters from Samoa and some people get on my case from comparing
Hikuleo to Jehovah.
To Jehovah. What is Jehovah? Did someone saw Jehovah? or only the voice.
Mm-hmm.
No different from what our people believe. And I know that's why Tonga have the blessing. And our people have the blessing too.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have in Polynesia, have the people in America, the Indian people, the black people, they have the worst, not like our people, Polynesia, when the foreigners come to our islands.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get the same problem with other countries. That's part of our blessing. And that's how I look at our people in Polynesia. We have to be proud of our ancestor. That's it. I want to thank everybody for listening to our program.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you to all the listeners. Everyone, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.